The screen fades to black. Millions of viewers hold their breath. And just like that, Hollywood loses a daytime obsession.
As the world turns star, Scott Bryce dies after a cancer battle.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we've got a story that really hits hard for anyone who grew up with daytime television.
We really do. We are doing a deep dive into the life, the intricate craft, and the incredibly complicated legacy of veteran actor Scott Bryce.
Right. And as you probably saw in the headlines, he passed away on July 12, 2026. He was 68 years old.
Which is just terribly sad. He was, of course, best known for his defining multi-decade run as Craig Montgomery on As the World Turns.
He really was a fixture. And, for you listening, we've pulled together a really diverse stack of sources to understand his whole career mechanics today.
Yeah, we aren't just looking at the recent obituaries or like the standard entertainment news alerts.
Exactly. We're actually digging into a notoriously candid 2008 exit interview that Bryce gave to TV Guide.
Oh, that interview is fascinating.
It really is. The fans meticulously preserved it on a soap opera forum. Plus, we're analyzing character retrospectives from soap blogs and even pulling from his talent agency biographies.
Right, because the mission here isn't to just, read you an IMDb page.
No, not at all.
We want to examine how Scott Bryce took one of the most tired cliché tropes in television, the soap opera villain, and transformed it into this absolute masterclass of deeply human acting.
And through the lens of his controversial firing in 2008, we're also going to explore the ruthless economic shifts that basically dismantled daytime television.
Oh, we are definitely getting into that. But wait till you hear how all that classical training was rewarded by the network later on. It is wild.
So wild. But let's start with the immediate news that brought us here. Bryce's passing came after a really brutal battle with stage 3 esophageal and stomach cancer.
Yeah, and what makes this so difficult for the fan community is that the public narrative was actually one of recovery.
It was. Back in 2025, when he first announced his diagnosis, he was incredibly optimistic about it.
Right. He was advocating for early detection, going through his treatments, and he explicitly told everyone he was, quote, on the mend.
So it's deeply jarring when that narrative of triumph just suddenly shifts.
It really is. And, the way the news broke was equally jarring. It didn't come through some sterilized corporate press release from a publicist.
No, it came through this visceral, highly emotional Facebook post by his close friend and former co-star, Lucie Arnaz.
They had worked together on an indie film called The Pack, right?
Yeah, that and a television series, and they just remained incredibly close. Arnaz wrote this beautiful, raw tribute.
Which she actually deleted shortly after, right?
She did, presumably when she realized the massive tidal wave of media attention it was about to unleash.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But before taking it down, she confirmed the cancer had returned. She called him a wonderful actor, a beautiful man, and a terrific husband and father.
Wow.
And she even spoke directly to his family, addressing his wife of 23 years, Jody Stevens, and his 19-year-old son, Jackson.
That is just heartbreaking.
She was telling them that Scott is watching over them from a place of pure joy.
That level of raw grief from his peers totally makes sense when you understand the medium he worked in.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when we talk about primetime television or movie stars, there is this distinct invisible wall.
Right, a separation.
Exactly. We buy tickets to see them, but they are very clearly over there in Hollywood, and we are over here on our couches.
Yeah.
But daytime television obliterate that wall. Soap opera actors are in your house 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, for decades.
They really are. They become something else entirely.
They are like the furniture in our living rooms. You grow up with them, you fold laundry with them, you have your morning coffee with them.
What's fascinating here is how Scott Bryce became such a foundational piece of that living room furniture without ever intending to be a soap star.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he was born in New York City in 1958, and he was a third-generation showbiz kid.
Oh, I didn't realize it went back that far.
It does. His father was Ed Bryce, who daytime fans will immediately recognize as Bill Bauer on Guiding Light.
Oh, wow. He played that role for over 20 years, right?
He did. But Scott didn't just walk into a casting office and ask for a favor based on his dad's name.
Right.
He actually built an undeniable bedrock foundation in the theater.
Which brings us back to that Broadway stage. Picture this. It's 1977. He is 19 years old doing Caesar and Cleopatra.
Right alongside Rex Harrison.
An absolute titan of classical acting. But okay, I want to pause here and ask about the mechanics of this.
Sure.
We always hear about like classical theater training. How does acting in a massive Broadway theater actually translate to the claustrophobic, incredibly fast-paced set of a daily soap opera?
It's a massive juxtaposition, right?
Yeah.
The pedigree of high theater crashing headfirst into daytime melodrama.
Aren't they completely different art forms?
That is a crucial distinction to make. On the surface, yes, they seem opposite.
Yeah, because on Broadway, you are projecting to the back of a 1,000-seat house.
Exactly. And on a soap opera set, the camera might be like 14 inches from your face.
Right.
But what classical theater training actually gives you is this intense, rigorous internal discipline.
Okay, how so?
Well, you learn how to memorize massive blocks of dense text almost instantly. You learn breath control, which totally dictates the pacing of your dialogue.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you learn how to hold your physical space against titanic personalities on set.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that discipline is exactly what he brought to Oakdale in 1982 when he originated the role of Craig Montgomery.
Yes, the Craig Montgomery years.
He walks onto the set of As the World Turns and almost immediately becomes the third point in one of the most massive pop culture love triangles of the decade.
Craig, Betsy Stewart played by a very young Meg Ryan and Steve Andropoulos.
It was absolute appointment viewing. College students were literally sprinting back to their dorms to watch.
Bryce was electric in it.
Right.
I mean, he earned 2 consecutive Daytime Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actor in 1986 and 1987.
But I'm going to challenge the conventional wisdom here for a second.
Okay, go for it.
The sources talk endlessly about how Bryce played Craig as a nuanced, likable villain.
Right.
But doesn't making a villain too human actually ruin the fun of the genre?
How do you mean?
Well, we watch daytime soaps for the sheer melodrama. We want the Machiavellian bad guy tying the hero to the train track so we can throw popcorn at the TV.
Yeah, I get that.
If you inject all this profound humanity and classical theatrical angst into a soap villain, aren't you betraying what the audience actually tuned in for?
I completely see why you'd think that, but the answer is a definitive no. And the proof is actually in the audience's reaction.
Okay, explain.
When Bryce left the show temporarily, other actors took over the role. Guys like Hunt Block or Jeffrey Meek.
Right.
And they played it exactly the way you just described, the one-note, mustache-twirling bad guy.
And it didn't work.
It was totally flat. But when Bryce played Craig, he employed a theatrical technique called playing the undercurrent, or the subtext.
Stop right there. Explain that. What does playing the subtext actually look like mechanically on a soap opera set?
Mechanically, it means your dialogue is doing one thing, but your physical instrument is doing the exact opposite.
Oh, interesting. Give me an example.
So the script might require Craig to ruthlessly threaten his rival in a boardroom to steal the company.
Standard villain stuff.
Exactly. A lesser actor just yells the lines and glares.
Right.
Bryce would deliver those threatening lines, but his hands might be trembling slightly, his posture might be weary,
Oh, wow.
and he would play the scene with these incredibly expressive, soulful eyes. He wasn't playing a man who wanted to be evil.
He was playing a man who was terrified.
Utterly terrified of abandonment.
Yeah.
He created this psychological contradiction that the viewer just couldn't look away from.
That makes total sense. It's cognitive dissonance. The script says he's a monster, but his eyes say he's a wounded animal.
Exactly.
There is a quote from a fan in the soap blogs we sourced that perfectly captures this exact paradox.
Oh, what do they say?
The fan wrote, "Craig almost killed an unborn baby and all I wanted to do was hug the guy."
Dead's wild.
It is wild. But it was only possible because he was collaborating with the legendary head writer Doug Marland.
Right, Doug Marland was a genius at this.
He really was. Marland understood that the most compelling drama doesn't come from, explosions or kidnappings.
It comes from deeply rooted character histories and star-crossed romance.
Exactly. He gave Bryce the narrative space to play a man who genuinely didn't know he was the villain of his own story.
Which naturally brings us to the tragedy of his final run on the show.
Yeah, we have to talk about this.
Because As the World Turns that Bryce returned to in 2007 was a completely different beast than the one Doug Marland ran in the 1980s.
Fundamentally different. And if you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Because this transition is where Scott Bryce's story becomes a masterclass in understanding the economic shifts of the television industry.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's 2007. Bryce comes back to Oakdale. The fans are ecstatic.
Overjoyed.
But less than a year later, in early 2008, he is abruptly fired.
And he isn't even given a dignified exit.
No. He is fired over the phone during the holidays by executive producer Chris Goutman.
It was a massive shock to the system, and it prompted Bryce to give that remarkably candid exit interview to TV Guide.
Which is such a rare thing to see from a working actor.
It really is. When you read that piece, you immediately realize this wasn't just some standard contract dispute about money.
Right.
This was a massive, unresolvable clash of creative visions fueled by industry panic.
And yet Bryce was incredibly professional about it.
He was.
In the exit interview, which, let's be honest, could have been a scorched earth moment, he detailed his work ethic.
Yeah, he said, quote, "I played the good soldier, didn't bitch, called him sir, showed up on time, and did my scenes in one take. That's not enough."
He was giving absolute maximum effort to material he clearly knew was broken.
But the material was deeply broken. Bryce noted in the interview that the plots had become gratuitously dark.
Yeah, we were talking about storylines involving dead babies, pornography, methamphetamines.
The show had completely abandoned character development in favor of cheap shock value.
Bryce actually complained that the production prioritized, quote, plot over people.
Which is the exact opposite of what made him successful in the first place.
Right. He felt he was being handed scripts written for that one-note villain he had spent decades avoiding.
He even mentioned trying to inject that need for family and love into his performance, and the producers hated it.
They literally wanted the cartoon villain.
Later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding his career after this. But first, why did this happen?
Yeah, let's dig into the why. Why did a legacy show suddenly pivot to methamphetamines and dead babies?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it all comes down to the brutal economics of reality television.
Oh, absolutely.
In that 2008 exit interview, Bryce says something incredibly prescient. He looks at the shrinking budgets and declining viewership, and he asks the interviewer a brilliant question.
What did he say?
He said, "How can the stories on ATWT beat Who is the Father of Anna Nicole's Baby?"
Wow. That is the whole ballgame right there.
It is. Let's look at the math for a second. Producing a daily scripted soap opera is staggeringly expensive.
You have dozens of union actors, a massive writing staff, union camera operators, elaborate sets, wardrobe, lighting.
Exactly. Then the 2000s hit and reality TV explodes.
Right.
A network realizes they can take a handful of non-union participants, put them in a house with a small crew and cheap digital cameras, and generate massive ratings.
For a fraction of the cost.
The profit margins of unscripted reality television completely destroyed the economic viability of the soap opera.
So network executives panicked. They looked at the tabloids, they looked at the chaotic, sensational drama of unscripted television, and they forced the soap writers to try and compete.
But that's a rigged game.
Totally rigged. You cannot out-crazy reality TV. And by trying to do so, they alienated their core audience.
Yeah.
When you substitute 30 years of character history for a random methamphetamine plot, you are taking that beloved piece of living room furniture and basically setting it on fire.
Precisely. By forcing a nuanced, classical actor like Scott Bryce into a flat, sensationalist plot, the show cannibalized its own legacy just to save a few bucks.
And it is absolutely no coincidence that As the World Turns was canceled entirely just a couple of years after this debacle.
But Bryce didn't let that firing define his career at all.
Not even a little bit. He pointed out the ratings were higher the week he got fired than before he arrived, took his dignity, and left.
So what does this all mean for Scott Bryce, the working actor?
It means his classical training made him bulletproof.
Yeah, looking at his resume beyond Oakdale is like looking at a time capsule of modern television.
His versatility is astounding. He transitioned across genres seamlessly because, quite frankly, soap opera training makes you an incredibly lethal asset on a fast-paced primetime set.
I guarantee that you, listening right now, have seen Scott Bryce pop up on your screen and said, "Hey, I know that guy."
Oh, without a doubt. He played Corky's husband, Will Forrest, on Murphy Brown.
He had guest spots on Sex and the City, Homeland, Blue Bloods, 30 Rock, The Blacklist, and Law and Order.
He even acted alongside Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer in the film Up Close and Personal.
And popped up in Lethal Weapon 3.
Let's talk about why he was cast in all those shows, though.
Right, because it's not an accident. When you shoot a soap opera, you are often shooting up to 80 pages of dialogue a day.
80 pages, and you usually get one take.
Exactly. So when a primetime director on a show like 30 Rock needs a guest star to come in, nail a complex scene in one take, hit their marks perfectly, and not hold up $1 million production.
They hire a soap veteran.
Bryce was a sniper.
I love that. But his hustle wasn't just in front of the camera.
No, the sources reveal he was deeply entrenched behind the scenes, too.
Yeah, he opened a 3-camera television studio inside an old vaudeville theater in Connecticut.
Which is just so cool. He also became a green screen specialist.
He was producing corporate videos for major brands like Adidas and Best Buy, and he was making comedy webisodes before YouTube was even a major platform.
And we really shouldn't gloss over that 3-camera studio detail.
Right, because running a multi-camera setup is incredibly technically demanding.
It requires an intimate understanding of spatial geometry, live switching, and continuous lighting.
It proves that Bryce wasn't just an actor who knew how to cry on cue. He was a master technician of the television medium.
This raises an important question, though, about how we ultimately measure an actor's legacy.
How so?
Well, because on paper, you look at a guy who can direct an Adidas commercial, program a multi-camera live switch, hold his own with Robert Redford, and nail a joke on 30 Rock.
That is the gold standard of a successful Hollywood professional.
Exactly. But if you look at the outpouring of grief from the fans, his legacy isn't defined by those primetime guest spots.
No, it's defined by the fierce, unwavering loyalty of the daytime audience.
And that loyalty exists because he respected them.
Yeah.
By fighting the producers for the humanity of Craig Montgomery, by refusing to play him as a one-dimensional cartoon, even when ordered to, Bryce was fundamentally respecting the intelligence of his audience.
He trusted that you, the viewer sitting in your living room, were capable of holding conflicting emotions.
Right. That you could despise a character's actions while deeply empathizing with their pain.
That is the core takeaway of this deep dive. Scott Bryce's career is a living testament to the old theater adage. There are no small roles, only small actors. It truly did not matter if he was dealing with a poorly written plotline about a hostile corporate takeover on a Tuesday afternoon, or if he was doing a scene on a multi-million-dollar film set.
He brought that classical discipline, a profound depth of humanity, and those trademark soulful eyes to the work.
He elevated whatever material was placed in front of him.
And as we reflect on his passing, there's a broader context we need to acknowledge from the sources.
Right.
It was also noted that the entertainment world recently lost another beloved television and soap legend, Randolph Mantooth.
Yes, the rhythm of these losses is increasing. We are slowly losing the titans of daytime drama.
It forces us to confront the current landscape of entertainment. The traditional, slow-burn daily soap opera is fading rapidly.
It really is. We live in an era of the 8-episode binge watch where you consume an entire show in a weekend, talk about it online for 2 days, and then completely move on.
There's no time for a character to steep anymore. There's no time to watch an actor age gracefully or not so gracefully over the course of 20 years.
And I want to leave you with this thought to mull over on your own.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, by the way.
Yes, please do. Because as we lose performers like Scott Bryce, and as the medium they champion continues to shrink, where does this specific type of acting live today?
That's a great question.
That intimate, long-form, daily character study that allows an actor to build a genuine relationship with the audience over decades. Are we witnessing the final days of an entire art form?
It's a profound shift in how we experience storytelling.
And if that living room furniture is being permanently removed, well, what exactly is replacing it?
It leaves a void that modern television hasn't quite figured out how to fill.
You've been listening to Starscript Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.